Our main character today is John Ian, the seventh prince. In the eyes of the emperor and his brothers, John is a lazy, cowardly, incompetent, and pleasure-seeking fool. He deliberately built this bad reputation so that other factions would cross him off the list of competitors for the throne. Unlike the other princes who are madly fighting for power, John's only goal is to escape the suffocating royal palace and enjoy a free life. A regretful thought echoed in his mind. If only I hadn't listened to that bastard. Back then, Jimmy had confidently ordered, "Don't overthink it, just sign here." John's hand holding the pen hesitated. He asked again, "Is this really safe?" Hearing that, he annoyedly slammed the table and scolded. "Come on, seriously? What did I just say? I told you not to overthink it." Jimmy put on a friendly face and said, "Do you think I'd scam my own high school buddy? I explained everything, didn't I? Capital preservation and even compound interest, my friend." He kept luring John in. "Just put your money in here and it'll multiply on its own. I'm not telling anyone else about this sweet deal. I only called you because I was thinking of you." Jimmy used words that struck a chord in his mind. "But you had to take a work call right at your dad's funeral. And then you had to bow and scrape to your old boss. It broke my heart." John gritted his teeth, thinking to himself, "When he mentioned Dad, I flared up for a second, but I couldn't do anything about it." Putting the pen down, he silently prayed. I can only hope the kindness in front of me is real. That was all I could do at the time. Recalling Jimmy's wicked face, John cursed himself. Like a total idiot. Time flew by. 2 years later. Present day. Light peeked through the crack in the door, revealing a messy room. John sat in the bathroom, vomiting uncontrollably. His face was completely blank. John cursed in discomfort. "Damn it. I just bought some snacks, ate one meal, and puked it all up." He knew one thing clearly. As a normal 28-year-old man in South Korea, his current life was far more pathetic than this. John looked down at the pile of books next to him in helplessness. The bastard who caused this mess vanished into thin air a year ago, completely unreachable. And here I am, living like trash, drowning in debt. He lingered on the novel on the table and told himself, "Still 5 hours until my part-time shift. Guess I'll read a bit and then go to sleep." That's right. The only joy in John's rotten life was the novel Dark Heart. He reached out, grabbed the novel, and muttered, "Just 30 minutes. Sitting on the bed, John started calculating. By now, I must have reread it over 100 times. But it's always so gripping. Well, I already know the plot by heart anyway. He began turning the pages, thinking to himself, "This is the only place that helps me forget this garbage life, even just for a little bit." Suddenly, John's eyes were drawn to something else. Outside the window, 2 crow feathers were falling. John asked himself in a daze, "What is this?" Feathers. His eyes stared blankly as he guessed. Crow feathers? Black. Suddenly, blood gushed from John's nose and mouth, leaving him in a state of panic. Looking at the splattered blood, John asked in confusion, "What the hell?" A sharp pain hit him, forcing him to endure it. "My heart." John vomited another mouthful of blood. He thought in agony, "I can't breathe." John's face instantly turned pale. He cursed helplessly. Damn my life. His entire body was filled with a sense of unwillingness. Am I really going to die like this? In such a lame way? John leaned against the headboard, lost in thought. Just as he was about to accept that maybe this was for the best, a surge of anger boiled up from within. "I can't believe the last thing to pop into my head right now is that bastard's face." He remembered Jimmy's arrogant demeanor. More black crow feathers began to appear around John, but he could only sit slumped there, completely helpless. Damn it. I couldn't do a single thing. A pitch-black space enveloped him, and broken voices echoed. John snapped his eyes open in a state of aimless panic. He sat up in a daze, asking himself, what just happened? Was it a dream? John's eyes widened in shock. Looking around, he became even more confused. Where is this? He kept muttering, what the hell kind of dump am I in? Suddenly, a sound caught John's attention. Outside was a black crow tilting its head, looking at him. John looked at the tree outside, which was swarming with black crows, and gasped in bewilderment. A black crow suddenly crashed through the door and flew in, scaring him half to death. Whoa! John screamed in panic. Help me. His heart was filled with endless anxiety. Asterisk, what kind of freaky nightmare is this all of a sudden? Is it because of my insomnia lately? Asterisk. The black crow got closer and closer, cawing louder. John could only squeeze his eyes shut and pray. Asterisk, please let me wake up from this dream. Please. Asterisk, however, contrary to his worries, the black crow gently rubbed its head against John's hand. He sat up in confusion, playing with it and wondering, asterisk, what's up with this crow? Why is it suddenly so friendly? Asterisk. A moment later, the black crow also left. It flew away with the flock outside. Witnessing that scene, John's eyes widened in bewilderment. Wait a minute. This is... He looked around at the scenery outside and realized, could this place be? John walked over to look at his reflection in the window, thinking to himself, at first, I was confused, but I quickly realized this isn't the reality I knew. He made a guess. This place is probably... Before he could fully grasp the situation, a voice called out from outside. Your Highness, John Ian, it's Anna. May I come in? John panicked, turned around, and shouted, wait. No. Hold on. Don't open the door. I'm just not feeling well. Hearing the loud noise inside, Anna startled and froze. John had fallen headfirst onto the floor. His whole body trembled in pain. Ugh, my head. She tactfully left. Then I will return later. Meanwhile, he quickly grasped the situation. Asterisk, John Ian. My suspicion was right. Asterisk. He rubbed his head in pain and told himself, asterisk, this place is the novel I've read countless times. This is the world of Dark Heart. Asterisk. And the guy whose body I just possessed is the seventh prince of this empire, John Ian. Thinking of this, John felt even more helpless. Asterisk, this guy is destined to die a tragic death right at the beginning of the story. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it all. Asterisk. He sat dejectedly on the edge of the bed, thinking, asterisk, damn it. How could this happen? I never thought there'd be a day I'd wake up in a novel's world. But why did it have to be this guy? Asterisk, while John was lost in thought, someone approached and called out, Your Highness, it is I, Sai. John's face instantly sank. His cold gaze shot over as he asked himself, asterisk, Sai? The seventh prince's attendant? Asterisk, he pushed the door open, walked in, and said, I heard Your Highness skipped dinner again. I was worried, so I came here personally. Sai pushed up his glasses and asked, I have prepared a simple meal. Are you feeling any better? John paused for a moment, telling himself, asterisk, I need to stay calm. First, I have to pretend to be Ian. Asterisk. Then he slowly stood up and said, Yeah, I feel much better. Sai was a bit puzzled but replied, That is a relief. Then he ordered the maid, Anna, serve the food to His Highness. She obediently replied, Yes, understood. John politely said, Thank you. Watching Anna arrange the food, he couldn't help but judge. Asterisk, why is she shaking like a leaf? Is this really food? It looks like dog food. Asterisk, John lost a bit of patience, reached out, and said, Just give it to me. I'll pour the tea myself. However, that startled Anna, causing her to knock over the entire teapot. She instantly froze on the spot, not knowing what to do. Anna panicked, dropped to her knees beside the puddle, and said, I deserve to be punished. John was confused, asking himself, asterisk, what's wrong with her? Why is she overreacting like she just caused a massive disaster? Asterisk, Anna hurriedly wiped the puddle with a cloth while saying, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. A moment later, he finally understood the problem. Asterisk, right. It's because John Ian is originally a piece of trash. Asterisk, John recalled the novel. Not only does he smash things and use violence whenever he's annoyed, but if he's in a bad mood, he even kills the servants. Anna kept speeding up her wiping, muttering, My crime deserves 1,000 deaths, but please spare my life. In reality, John was the absolute worst, trashiest villain in the early stages of Dark Heart. Right at that moment, Sai spoke up from behind. I am sorry to disturb you while you are eating, but I did not expect the noble prince to fall ill. Regardless, I am glad to see you are doing well. He took out a scroll and suggested, I apologize for bothering you during your meal, but Sai unrolled it, placed it on the table, and said commandingly, Please sign this budget proposal first. These are all matters of utmost importance. John immediately frowned when the man shoved the pen into his hand, cursing inwardly. Asterisk important my ass. What a bunch of liars. What important matters could a useless, ignorant seventh prince possibly have? Asterisk looking at the ledger placed in front of him, he bluntly assessed. Asterisk this is obviously a bunch of forged documents. His real goal is to embezzle the seventh prince's budget. Asterisk. John looked at Sai, who was acting so arrogant in front of him, and recalled, asterisk the reason a crippled attendant like Sai can run rampant like this is because he's related to the Empress. That supremely powerful Empress has a massive influence over this entire world. Asterisk he gently put the pen down on the paper, calculating. Asterisk but the original owner of this body was an idiot who knew absolutely nothing about that. I shouldn't deviate from the original plot right now. So, do I still have to sign this? Asterisk. Seeing John's hesitation, Sai hurriedly mocked. Could it be that your highness has forgotten how to sign your name? Even for a prince, that is a bit embarrassing, isn't it? He quickly realized the man's attitude was pure contempt. John felt a bit annoyed. Asterisk I bear the title of royalty, yet I'm openly despised by a mere attendant. Even if I transmigrated into a novel, why did it have to be into a piece of trash like the Seventh Prince? Asterisk. Sai kept pushing his glasses up and said, truly pathetic. But isn't that exactly why you need me? So, your highness, don't overthink it, and just sign here. Hearing this, John's entire body seemed to freeze. He remembered that day when Jimmy had also used that same disdainful attitude to tell him, don't overthink it, just sign here. He gritted his teeth in extreme annoyance, cursing inwardly, asterisk damn it. How is this any different from the reality where I was always being used by others? Asterisk. Then John let out a heavy sigh and made up his mind. Asterisk no, I won't live such a humiliating life anymore. Asterisk he spoke coldly, causing the man's face to darken. Sai? Looking closely, something seems a bit off here. Isn't this a clear waste of the budget? Sai smirked and replied, what a surprise. I didn't expect you to have such thoughts. It seems I have underestimated your highness. He put on a gloomy face and threatened, but your food is getting cold. If you sign first, I will look into that matter later. He raised his voice to urge, so, your highness, don't think about it anymore and just sign. Right then, a teapot was thrown over. Anna jumped in sheer terror. The large teapot shattered into pieces, taking Sai's glasses with it. He stood there dumbfounded, questioning, your highness, what is the meaning of this? John replied very calmly, my bad. My hand slipped. In his mind, he continuously evaluated, asterisk because I've read this novel over 100 times, I couldn't not know even if I tried. It's true that Sai is related to the Empress, but in reality, it's a super distant relationship, to the point where the Empress doesn't even know he exists. Asterisk Sai paused, angrily probing, your highness, what the hell are you doing? So John swung his arm and flipped the table entirely. This action left the man completely stunned. John's eyes darkened as he thought, asterisk, I don't know how I got here, but I have no intention of accepting a lame death like in the original story. Asterisk he casually spoke in a cold tone. Because you kept distracting me, my hand slipped. Aren't you going to take responsibility for this? John thought wearily, asterisk in my past life, I was born with nothing. I was looked down upon everywhere, living a life full of disadvantages. Now, I don't give a damn about living like that anymore. I'll rely on all the knowledge I have from the novel and the authority of the Seventh Prince, asterisk. He urged again, Sai, what are you still standing there for? John pointed down and said, the carpet is all dirty. His entire body exuded a cold aura as he stepped forward and ordered, clean it up. Now, in John's mind at this moment, there was only one thought, I must survive at all costs. Sai secretly evaluated in his mind, asterisk royalty is divine. Everything in this world was born to serve them. Asterisk he asked himself in annoyance, asterisk the special abilities that only the royal family possesses, along with their beautiful, shining blonde hair. Aren't they the embodiment of the gods and the symbol of nobility? Their rule is a given. Asterisk Sai's face clearly showed his resentment as he thought, except for that trashy Seventh Prince, of course. He angrily judged John. Asterisk, he's ignorant and grumpy. And on top of that, he has that disgusting pitch black hair. How can that kind of trash be called royalty? Asterisk Sai gritted his teeth in furious indignation. Asterisk a pathetic loser who only knows how to cower and live by reading the other prince's moods. Did I spend all that money on bribes just to serve a guy like this? Asterisk, however, Sai still had to bow his head and clean up. He cursed himself. I'm such an idiot. Asterisk, damn it. This is no time for me to be wiping the floor like this. Asterisk a moment later, Sai finally reported, Your Highness, I have cleaned it all up. Just as he was about to leave, he saw another cup being thrown down. Then I shall take my leave. Sai jumped up and shouted, Your Highness, what is the meaning of this? John bluntly retorted, It took you that much time just to do this trivial task? Take this opportunity to practice more. He coldly ordered, Wipe it clean. Hurry up. Seeing this, Sai could only bow his head and mutter, You're acting really strange today. I wonder how I should report this to the Empress. Hearing that, John let out a heavy sigh of annoyance. Asterisk, he doesn't even have the clearance to meet the Empress. Yet he's trying to threaten me? Seems like this still isn't enough to wake him up. It's best to make things crystal clear so he doesn't cause trouble later. Asterisk, so he turned to Anna and said, You there. Cover your ears. She blankly replied, Yes? You my ears. John acted dangerous and threatened. This isn't something the likes of you are allowed to hear. If you dare eavesdrop on even a single word, I'll make you work without any fingers left. Anna screamed in absolute terror. Why, yes. Yes, sir. Then she tightly covered both her ears and bowed her head low. In her ears, Anna could only vaguely hear unclear words from John. She didn't know what he said, but Sai's face grew increasingly pale. Drops of sweat continuously rolled down his face. Returning to reality, Anna whispered the story. He instantly lost all color in his face. He looked like he had just seen a ghost. She was a bit puzzled as she whispered to the other maids, Speaking of which, the seventh prince lately, ever since that day, hasn't he been acting a bit weird? They also nodded in agreement. Anna makes sense. Anna hurriedly exclaimed, You guys noticed it too, right? I think. Before she could finish, the other maids were already crying rivers of complaints. He's become way scarier. Will we even keep our lives until next year? Everyone kept whispering and gossiping with each other. Anyway, not running into him lately takes a lot of the pressure off, right? Yeah, he doesn't even bother going out, just stays cooped up in his palace all the time. Then they suddenly turned and asked, By the way, Anna, don't you have to work somewhere else? You have a cleaning shift today. Only then did Anna suddenly remember and gasp, I'm dead. At the same time, inside the office, looking at the sunlight shining in, John couldn't help but marvel. The weather is really nice today. He held a teacup, standing by the window, calculating. Asterisk, if I just act exactly like the seventh prince in the story, probably no one will suspect a thing. The servants seem to be terrified and are avoiding me anyway. Asterisk, he recalled that day when Sai had dejectedly bowed his head and walked away. Asterisk, since that day, Sai hasn't dared to act up anymore. In fact, he doesn't even dare come near me. That's great. I don't want to have to smash another teapot over anyone's head either. Asterisk, John leisurely enjoyed the hot tea in his hand, thinking, Asterisk, the reason I can be this relaxed is because I still have plenty of time. It's still a year before the plot begins. And 3 years before my scheduled death. Asterisk, the novel I've binged over 100 times, Dark Heart. I still vividly remember the day I stumbled upon this battered old book in the corner of the local library. Thinking back, it shows just how obsessed I was with this story. Asterisk, he calmly calculated. Asterisk, it's a long time before the male lead appears and the story begins. For now, I'll just leisurely enjoy this free time like a true noble. Asterisk, then John looked outside again, muttering to himself. Asterisk, anyway, the weather really is beautiful. If only I had wings, to look down from above and admire this view. Asterisk. Suddenly, right at that moment, his body felt like an electric current was running through it. The teacup in John's hand also fell to the floor, shattering into pieces. John collapsed in discomfort, asking himself, What is this? Why all of a sudden, my body is burning up. He gritted his teeth, trying to endure it. Asterisk, this feeling is a bit different from last time. My whole body feels like it's on fire. Asterisk, right then, Anna's voice rang out from outside. Your Highness, are you in there? It's Anna. May I come into the study to clean? John's eyes immediately darted outward in panic. Help! Please help me. Outside, Anna breathed a sigh of relief as she pushed the door. Thank goodness. It seems he's not in this room. Upon entering, she couldn't help but panic when she saw the shattered teacup on the floor and screamed, What is this? Wait a minute. What just happened here? Anna muttered regretfully as she cleaned up. Oh my God, what a waste. If I sold this pile, my whole family could eat for a month. Suddenly, a sound caught her attention. Seeing a black crow staring intently at her, Anna screamed in panic. Is this a crow? She hurriedly stood up and backed away. Then Anna frantically went over and hugged John to her chest, asking, Little crow, how did you get all the way in here? There's a really scary person here, you know? His mind was still in endless turmoil. Unbelievable. John lay in Anna's arms, thinking for a moment. Did I just turn from the seventh prince into a crow? But why did that happen? She opened the window and whispered, I'd love to keep you, but if His Highness catches us like this, we're both dead meat. John felt utterly helpless, thinking, wait. I am that Highness. Right after that, Anna reached out to let him fly away. You know how to fly, right? Fly far away. John was scared to death, screaming internally, no. Don't let go. This is an order. Please. If you let go, She couldn't hear those words and actually dropped him. John screamed in panic in his mind. No. Looking at the lush green trees below, he felt endlessly helpless. I'm dead. I'm so dead. If I fall, I'll be smashed to pieces. Then John started to figure out the situation. How do I survive now? I just need to use my wings, right? His eyes filled with determination as he told himself, fly. Fly up. I don't want to die in this dump. Just like that, John spread his wings. He asked himself in a daze, what is this? John flapped his wings in the sky in aimless bewilderment. I can fly. I'm actually flying. Wait a minute. But like this, can I turn back into a human? Time flew by. Night had gradually fallen. John stood by the window, panting heavily, thinking to himself, thank goodness. I can still turn back into a normal human. I tried it a few more times just to be sure. His face turned pale with confusion. The ability to turn into a crow at will? I didn't expect to be able to transform just by thinking about it. John felt a bit panicked inside. But why can I turn into a crow? Or is this a curse from the crow that clung to me on the first day? An ability like this never appeared in the story. He calculated cautiously. Even though I don't know why I have this ability, it's obvious I absolutely cannot let anyone find out. John felt a bit troubled, thinking, turning into a crow is an ability that was never mentioned in the novel. It might mess up the progression of the plot. This ability is definitely linked to Manhwa. While John was still lost in his thoughts, an urging voice rang out from outside. Your Highness, the sacrificial ceremony is about to begin. You need to get ready to depart. He turned around and muttered, the day has finally come. John recalled the story's plot. Once a month, the emperor and the legitimate princes and princesses gather to perform this sacred sacrificial ceremony. It's called a ceremony to sound fancy, but in reality, it's a succession capability test. Of course, the seventh prince doesn't even have a chance to be on the candidate list. He felt a bit displeased, thinking, seeing it with my own eyes feels completely different from just reading it in a book. The seventh prince has to sit all the way at the end of the table. John looked around and assessed. Probably thanks to their blonde hair, they all radiate a blinding aura. Compared to them, the seventh prince is nothing but a lone black crow. Just as he sat down, someone spoke up to mock him. How can a half-breed dare to stick his neck out and look without feeling ashamed? John looked up, asking himself, the guy in front of me is, he quickly recognized him. The eighth prince, Klaus Ian. My 17-year-old half-brother. Though it's obvious he doesn't see me as an older brother at all. Klaus rested his chin on his hand and questioned, can this low-class trash not even understand human language anymore? John relaxed his body and let out a sigh. Both of us are just familiar villains who show up to act tough for a bit. Seeing that he didn't answer, the boy angrily slammed the table and yelled, Hey you, are you deaf? You bastard. Right at that moment, Minto walked by, patted Klaus on the shoulder, and reminded him, "As brothers, you should get along. Don't cause trouble right in front of His Majesty." Understood. He hurriedly bowed his head and replied, "I apologize, Grand Princess." John took the opportunity to assess the situation. So that's the Grand Princess. If so, then from left to right, it would be the first prince, the third prince, and the second prince. First prince, second prince, third prince, Grand Princess. They're seated exactly in order of rank. John silently confirmed. The lighter the hair, the more terrifying the power they possess. In other words, they are the true royals. Then he frowned, thinking, compared to them, the actual owner of this body has pitch black hair. The only royal born without a single drop of manet. No wonder his personality became so twisted. And the legendary top manet user of this world, naturally, is... Right then, someone entered. That person possessed shining blonde hair. Everyone hurriedly stood up, bowed respectfully, and chanted, "His Imperial Majesty has arrived." One hand holds glory, one hand holds faith. And destruction lies right where the two hands clasp tightly. John looked over at him, thinking, the pinnacle of this empire. The Emperor. As soon as he entered, he stroked his beard and ordered, "Stop wasting time. Begin immediately." Following the Emperor's every move, John thought to himself, that blue stone slab is the artifact left behind by the first Emperor, Weha. When manet energy is channeled into it, the stone slab will measure the user's manet level. Beams of energy continuously radiate outward. The way it displays the manet level is very intuitive. You just have to see how far the light emitted from the stone slab spreads. The Emperor's energy beam shot straight to the end of the blue stone slab. Seeing this scene, the people around couldn't help but marvel. Whoa! The light spread all the way to the edge of the table. As expected of His Majesty. John alone was a bit confused. But is the light originally supposed to spread all the way to the edge of the table like this? After finishing, the Emperor lifted his hand and ordered, "Whoever wishes to challenge, step forward." Hearing that, John frowned and turned his head. Zaisha smiled brightly and raised his hand to volunteer. "Your Majesty, I request to try." He observed everything even more intently. There's no strict rule, but traditionally, only the first prince participates in this ceremony. Because once the manet rankings are measured, they're rarely overturned. John made a guess. The amount of manet is also equivalent to the scale of each person's power. The first prince periodically performs in front of the entire royal family to prove who is at the top of the current power chain, and to affirm who the true next emperor is. Zaisha's face was extremely confident as he stepped forward. But right after that, his face darkened. The second prince jumped up in sheer panic and called out, "Brother!" Fresh blood continuously gushed from Zaisha's nose. Panicked noises constantly rang out. "Hey, is anyone there?" They shouted in panic. "Hurry! Call a doctor here, quick!" John's eyes also filled with astonishment. Amidst that chaos, I'm the only one who clearly understands what's really happening. He looked at Zaisha, thinking, the first prince is about to kick the bucket. He's going to cough up blood from his mouth and nose all over the place. John told himself. The plot has officially begun. Manet is a special kind of power in this world. Usually, it only appears in those belonging to the royal family and carrying their bloodline. But everyone's ability is different. For example, the first prince uses water manet, while the second prince uses fire manet. The first prince's manet measurement result today was already predetermined. The light he emits will probably just barely pass the halfway mark of the table. Which makes sense. Technically, there are still 6 months until that event. While John was certain of this, everyone was already crying out in panic. "Brother! Hey! Is anyone there? Call a doctor here, quick!" Standing amidst the noisy crowd, John was a bit dazed. According to the original story, the first prince shouldn't be coughing up blood for another half a year. The male lead's appearance is after that event too. Then he started piecing everything together. Wait, why was the 7th prince able to turn into a crow in the first place? The predecessor of this body was someone who absolutely couldn't use Manhwa. Asterisk John's eyes widened in confusion. Asterisk an ability that never existed in the story suddenly appeared right after my soul entered this body. Is this really just a coincidence? Asterisk after returning to his room, Zaisha flared up in anger and cursed. Damn it. Damn it all. He turned around, smashed the mirror in front of him, and muttered, this morning, everything was clearly fine. And yesterday was no different from any other day. Zaisha's hand started to channel energy. He cried out in discomfort. But. Zaisha's whole body trembled uncontrollably. He held his face and growled in anger. Zaisha's mind was already in turmoil. Asterisk every time I try to channel Manhwa, my whole body burns like it's on fire. Don't tell me that from now on, I'll never be able to use Manhwa again. Asterisk he stood up trembling, telling himself, asterisk that's impossible. I am the first prince of the Iron Empire. The next emperor of this empire, asterisk. Zaisha grabbed the smoking pipe on the table, thinking, asterisk I am completely different from those bugs out there. That's for sure. Asterisk after calming himself down, he took a drag and told himself, asterisk it's probably nothing serious. If I just rest a bit, my Manhwa will. Asterisk before Zaisha could think much more, a voice rang out from the darkness. If you still want to keep your life, it's best you stay away from a certain potion bottle first. He angrily threw the pipe straight ahead and shouted, who's there? Looking at the pipe shattering beside him, John silently assessed, he really is a monster when it comes to brute strength. As soon as he saw the person arriving was John, he smirked and mocked, humph. And here I thought someone sent an assassin. You're just a useless piece of trash who can't even use Manhwa, right? Who do you think you are to dare show your face here? Hearing this, John wasn't angry but bluntly retorted, if I were an assassin, you'd be dead a long time ago. You didn't even realize I was here until I spoke up, right? For someone like me to sneak right into the bedroom of the future emperor, the second most heavily guarded place in this empire, without leaving a single trace. Zaisha turned and questioned, how did you get into my room? What kind of trick did you use? He calmly replied, well, I climbed the wall from the outside and came in through the back. He shouted in annoyance, you think I'd believe that crap? John didn't care and said, well, it doesn't matter if you don't believe it. That's not important right now. John asked straightforwardly, how is your body feeling? Of course, your royal physicians will say there's no illness at all, but you're the one who knows your condition best, aren't you? As if hit in a sore spot, Zaisha let out a laugh. Uffed. Then he laughed even louder. Zaisha spoke with a hint of sarcasm, right. Now I get it. You actually know how to use your brain, huh? He angrily accused. You secretly poisoned me and planned to use that as a bargaining chip with me, right? Your goal is to keep your miserable life after I ascend the throne, isn't it? Zaisha switched to personal attacks. If that's what you're thinking, you're dead wrong, my stupid little brother. John paid no mind to that and gently reminded him. In just 1 week, you'll be the one begging for death, when blood just keeps pouring out of your eyes and ears. Hearing that, his action of stepping forward to grab his collar stopped. Zaisha gasped in bewilderment. What? John calmly sat down on the sofa and said, let me make one thing perfectly clear to you. I have no interest in using dirty schemes or cheap tricks on you. He slowly recounted, your body will visibly weaken, and then you'll die a tragic death with blood gushing out all over your body. Even I don't know who's behind this yet. John glanced over and warned, but I'm warning you in advance. Be a good boy and listen carefully to what I'm about to say, because this is your last chance to keep your life. Hearing these words, Zaisha kept clenching his teeth as if trying to restrain himself. A moment later, John turned back into a black crow and flew away in the rain. He silently breathed a sigh of relief. Asterisk thank goodness. This guy really is as gullible and cowardly as described in the story. When I left the first prince's palace, he didn't even bother sending anyone to tail me. Asterisk. He calculated in his mind, for now, I'll just lead him by the nose however I want. At this moment, Zaisha was holding his head in extreme agony. John flew straight toward the castle ahead, praising, asterisk I gotta admit, this ability is really convenient. Thanks to it, I can go to way more places than I thought. Asterisk, then he suddenly remembered something. Asterisk wait. If that's the case, I might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone while I'm out. Asterisk. John hurriedly changed direction and flew away. Time passed, and the sun rose high, radiating warm sunlight. Anna felt a bit conflicted inside. What should I do about this now? She stood in front of the door, muttering in panic. The prince hasn't eaten or drunk anything for 2 days. And there hasn't been a single sound or movement from inside the room either. In her heart, Anna was terrified. What if something bad happened to the prince? She remembered the threat. The sinner who harms a member of the royal family will face the highest penalty, execution. So Anna hurriedly pounded on the door and called out loudly, "Prince, Your Highness, are you all right?" She screamed, "I humbly request permission to enter." Right at that moment, John opened the door, muttering, "What the hell are these people doing, making so much noise?" Because she wasn't prepared, Anna fell face first straight onto the floor. The tray of food spilled all over John's shoes. His face looked down coldly. Seeing that, Anna immediately burst into tears. My crime deserves 1,000 deaths. I was just worried that maybe Your Highness wasn't feeling well." Tears streamed down her face as she explained, So I. Before Anna could finish, John coldly spoke up again. "Suddenly barging in and bothering me is one thing." He frowned in annoyance and questioned, "Now you've dirted both my floor and my shoes? How do you plan to take responsibility for this?" Anna panicked and cried out, "I truly deserve to die. I don't care about my miserable life, but please spare my family." Hearing that, John ordered, "Forget it. Clean it up spotless within 5 minutes and get the hell out of my sight." This left Anna completely bewildered. "Yes, as you command, Your Highness." She also heard him add a reminder. "And from now on, unless I personally call for you, it is strictly forbidden for any of you to come near my private quarters." John sighed wearily. Offering up their lives over every little thing is so annoying. Now that I've set clear rules, hopefully I won't be bothered by these annoying matters anymore. Just like that, the sky was clear and blue again. Time also flew by like the wind. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed since the first prince coughed up blood at the sacrificial ceremony. During this time, a rumor had secretly spread throughout the palace. The first prince, the future emperor, has lost his powers. Aside from Zaisha feeling miserable, to the other princes and princesses, that rumor was nothing short of a signal that a once-in-a-millennium opportunity had arrived. John slowly recalled, in the novel, to squash these rumors, the first prince begged the emperor to speed up the schedule for the hunting competition. Although there's a slight deviation since this was supposed to happen half a year from now. He calmly rode his horse, calculating, but luckily, things are generally still sticking pretty close to the original plot. The problem is, I don't know if this is only happening in the capital, or if it's also affecting the male lead on the outside. The group was riding their horses inside. He thought to himself, today is the day of the royal hunting competition. If I'm lucky, I'll meet him at today's event. Then I can give that thing to him. After that, I'll lay low and wait for the right moment. Right then, a mocking voice rang out. "Hey, you bug over there." Klaus rode his horse past and taunted, "That black horse looks awfully fitting for your gloomy face, doesn't it?" John didn't care much and continued thinking, "One thing that worries me a bit is, probably because this is a year before the story starts, that guy seems way more impulsive and hot-headed than in the book." He told himself, whatever, screw him. Not worth stooping to his level. I have more important things to do today. As John ignored him without saying a word, the boy got even more competitive and raised his voice. "You little brat. Are you ignoring me?" John stroked his horse and marveled. Trying to use a black horse to look down on me? But personally, I like black horses way more than blonde ones. Seems like the 7th prince at least has a knack for winning over animals. He looked ahead and said, "We're finally here." Looking at the scenery in front of him, John couldn't help but exclaim, "So this is the entrance to the royal forest." That is the Tower of Origin. This year's opening ceremony is also held right here. Zaisha jumped off his horse with an extremely confident demeanor. Right after the first prince completes the ceremony, the hunting competition will officially begin immediately. He silently assessed. To be blunt, this is more of a political faction-fighting show than a talent competition. At this moment, the emperor had also arrived. He glanced at Zaisha and ordered, "First prince, Prepare for the upcoming opening ceremony. He hurriedly complied. Understood, Imperial Majesty. From behind, the second prince stepped forward and asked, I am so glad to see you are still healthy, brother. Have you thought about what you will wish for? Zaisha frowned, jumped off his horse, and asked back, What wish are you talking about, second brother? He immediately replied, The wish that His Majesty will grant to the winner of the hunting competition, of course. After all, the winner today is guaranteed to be you, isn't it, brother? Hearing the flattery, Zaisha quietly scoffed. Humph. Naturally. Originally, this ceremony was an opportunity to show off the future emperor's Manit power. A display of the royal family's authority in front of the nobles. The commoners below kept whispering and gossiping. Oh, it's such an honor to witness the first prince's Manit power with my own eyes today. But lately, I've vaguely heard rumors about a rather unpleasant incident. Shoo, are you crazy? What if someone hears you? Zaisha stepped forward, gritting his teeth and thinking, I never thought there'd be a day I'd have to listen to what that bug said. You better not be bluffing. He remembered John's confident face from that day. Zaisha clenched his teeth, channeled his Manit, and muttered, If you dared to trick me, I'll chop you into pieces in the most painful way possible. Down below, John was smiling and evaluating. Look at him. He's so stiff. Don't be so tense, Zaisha. He felt a bit excited, like he was doing something bad. As long as you do exactly as I told you, there'll be a good show to watch in a bit. In the sky, dark clouds gathered thickly. Zaisha was intensely focused on channeling his Manit. The energy around him seemed to envelop his entire body. Powerful streams of Manit were swirling everywhere. It surged like a tornado wanting to swallow everything. Suddenly, a large rock hit someone's body. The people standing around cried out in panic. Watch out. Don't get sucked into the vortex. They kept shouting to each other. Everyone, step back. Only John remained standing there with a serious face. He gritted his teeth and spoke. I am the first prince. Every single word rang out with difficulty. Of the Iron Empire. Zaisha raised both hands to the sky and shouted. The one destined to become the emperor. All the surrounding Manit energy quickly gathered into giant dragons. They flew straight up into the high sky. Under Zaisha's power, the dark clouds slowly dissipated. The sky had become clear. Drops of rain also began to fall. Agani spoke tensely. So this is the magic power of the royal family. The commoners around started cheering excitedly. Whoa! Long live the first prince. Returning to that day, John had taken out a stone and ordered Zaisha. Take this and channel your magic power into it. He immediately protested. A stone? Are you messing with me? He casually explained. It can absorb corrupted magic power. If you don't want to be cured, then go ahead and die. Because I have no interest in saving someone who doesn't value their life. Hearing those words, Zaisha was so angry his whole body trembled uncontrollably. Returning to the present, John happily climbed back onto his horse. Well, that bought some time. This is originally an item that doesn't appear until next season in the original story, but using it a bit early probably won't hurt. Right at that moment, someone came running up trembling. Seventh Prince. I humbly greet you. His whole body looked like it was about to fall apart. He panted heavily while reporting. As you instructed, I brought the bag you left behind. Yet John only replied coldly. Ah, you finally arrived, huh? He glared coldly and scolded. You really are a useless piece of trash who can't do anything right. You brought the bag here intact, didn't you? Sun bowed his head in sheer terror, thinking, damn it. How did I even get here on that crazy black horse? That horse is very aggressive. Many people have already been injured by it. That's exactly why I purposely brought it to the seventh prince. Right then, the sound of horns echoed everywhere. The emperor waved his hand to signal. Then from this moment on, the royal hunting competition officially begins. The crowd immediately became lively and rushed off. Should I try to win this round to ask the emperor for a wish? Dream on. The royal family will definitely rig it again. John, on horseback, shook his head slightly and marveled. Everyone's rushing off in such a hurry. Anyway, this competition doesn't matter to me right now. It's better to keep a low profile to avoid drawing attention. That way, It'll be easier to find the former Grand Commander of the Royal Knights, Agani Fadet. Meanwhile, Agani was standing in the shade, asking, Talon, what do you think of the opening ceremony for this hunt? Talon smirked and marveled. Truly the power of a god. Agani heard this and expressed his thoughts. Watching that ceremony, I get the feeling the emperor is trying to mentally intimidate the nobles. Hearing that, he hurriedly reminded him, Duke. Talon looked around and suggested, Please, such treasonous words should only be spoken when we are alone. He calmly reassured him, Relax, Talon. There's no one around here who can eavesdrop on us. Agani's eyes darkened as he muttered, There's a reason I've lived to this age. At least until now. A while later, John also set off. The royal forest, where the hunt takes place, is divided into 3 main areas. He held the area map in his hand and observed. First is the small game area near the entrance. Next is the medium game area, and the large game area is located deepest in the forest. John slowly recalled. In the novel, it said he presented a golden fox to the emperor during this hunt. The problem is, that detail was only briefly mentioned in a flashback scene, so I have no idea where to find it. That's why I had to turn into a crow to scout this massive royal forest so much. Golden foxes are very hard to find, so I have to narrow down the location. John exclaimed with absolute confidence. Based on the detail that he washed his hands in the water right after hunting the beast, I'm guessing the location is definitely on the southwest lakeshore. He excitedly pulled the reins, telling himself, I have to stay one step ahead to wait for the right moment. In his heart, John secretly thought, sometimes it feels like it understands everything I say. He looked at his bag and relaxed his mind. Good thing Sun managed to bring the bag too. I was worried for nothing. Since he was late, I just need to hand this directly to Duke Agani Fadet. Suddenly, the horse seemed to notice something. It immediately stopped in its tracks, startling John. He stepped down in confusion and exclaimed, What's the meaning of this? John asked cautiously, Why are you suddenly stopping like this? Are you sick or something? The black horse shook its head in denial. So he asked again, Or did you spot a wild beast nearby? It shook its head again. John's eyes widened in bewilderment. Don't tell me. He made a guess. This bag is too heavy, isn't it? Right after that, John yelled in anger. Stop being so stubborn. Other horses pull carriages, and you're just carrying one bag and one person, and you're already throwing a fit. He clenched his fists and challenged. Fine. Let's see how long you can last. If you keep acting arrogant, I'll tell the stable master to starve you. As soon as he finished speaking, the horse ran away. John could only stand there dumbfounded, watching its back. A silent note of despair echoed in his heart. I'm screwed. At the same time, in another part of the forest, Talon looked around and marveled. Normally, catching a few wolves or deer around this time is as easy as flipping my hand. But it seems luck isn't on our side today. Agani lowered his head a bit sadly and sighed. I guess I really am old. I've been a sword and a shield my whole life, but even I can't fight against time. Talon, beside him, smiled brightly and reassured him. Please don't say that. You are already a legend, Duke. He continuously praised. Didn't you achieve countless glorious victories when you were the Grand Commander of the Knights? Agani politely denied. Now I am just a retired old man. Then he continued asking, Talon, have you ever seen the royal family up close? He replied blankly, No, sir. I've only seen them from afar like today. Agani lowered his voice, sounding a bit sad. When you face them directly, you will understand. Then, you will know who the true, magnificent existences of this empire really are. He spoke contemplatively. They are gods in the flesh. My family has protected the empire of those gods for the past 1,000 years. Agani remembered the day he told his son, Look outside, to see the majesty of this beautiful and grand imperial capital. Agani instructed Flynn, I am old now, so you must be the one to take over my position. We must always be proud to be the loyal family of the royals. The boy obediently replied, Yes, father. Agani pointed outside again and guided him. Look out the window. That is our family's merchant guild. We are proud to be the ones who supply goods to the royal family. He smiled proudly and said, And next, over there is the temple. Suddenly, a sound rang out, forcing Agani to step out of the carriage and ask, "Hey, what the hell is going on?" The carriage driver hurriedly replied, "Oh my God, master. I am truly sorry. Something got stuck in the wheel." He suggested, "Please step back inside the carriage. I will handle and clean this up immediately." However, Agani's eyes had already fallen on the child lying under the wheel, with trails of blood flowing. The carriage driver calmly said, "In a place like this, well, this kind of thing happens every day." He was born to be caught while trying to steal royal tributes from the temple. Inside the carriage, Flynn asked curiously, "Father, what's wrong? I want to go out and see too." However, Agani shouted loudly to stop him, "Do not come out." The boy called out to him in confusion, "Father?" Agani's face darkened as he said, "You are not to come out. This is—" Agani's eyes became empty as he stammered, "This is nothing at all." Returning to reality, Agani looked up at the sky and reflected, that boy wasn't even 10 years old. Was he? He felt a bit heartbroken. Then he was even younger than my son. That child must have been burned in the incinerator. So even in a noble empire like this, there are dark, hidden corners? Talon hurriedly reminded him from behind. "We don't have time to leisurely enjoy the scenery, Duke. Even if we don't win, we must save face for the Duke's family." Hearing that, Agani snapped back to reality and replied, "My apologies. Let's set off. I know a place where golden foxes appear." Meanwhile, John was stopping by a tree, panting heavily. Running with this bag is so exhausting. I'm definitely turning you into horse meat when I get back. He gritted his teeth and endured it in utter helplessness. I can't transform just because I have to carry this bag. It'll be really bad if I lose track of Duke Fidette. Should I transform and head back? John leaned against the tree trunk, thinking, during my previous transformations into a Crota scout, I accidentally found out this forest is very dangerous. Even in the small game area, you never know when a wild beast might show up. Suddenly, a rustling sound beside him made John anxious. Is there really a wild beast? He started calculating. Damn it. What should I do now? It'd be a waste to throw this bag away and run. But I didn't bring any weapons either because it was too inconvenient. Finally, John made up his mind and threw a rock. Whatever. If I'm really in danger, I'll just run for it. On the opposite side, Talon was parting the bushes and announcing, I definitely saw it. A black horse charging over from a distance. Right as he finished speaking, the rock hit him square in the face. John asked in panic, that hair color, could it be? Hearing the loud noise, Agani hurriedly ran over and asked, Talon, what was that noise? Are you all right? John quickly hid behind the tree trunk. I'm dead. I didn't expect to run into him in a place like this. The person out there is the former Grand Commander of the Royal Knights, the war hero, Talon. At this moment, he had already fainted. He fearfully hid his tracks. I'm screwed. I didn't expect to run into him in a place like this. The person out there is the former Grand Commander of the Royal Knights, the war hero, Duke Agani Fidette. According to John's knowledge, he is the one who will become the male lead's master in the novel. The one who will later overthrow this entire empire. Right now, John panicked and hid behind the tree, glancing toward Agani. Agani Fidette. I can't bump into him here. He immediately recalled the original trap meant for him. The original plan wasn't like this at all. I was supposed to ambush him at the Golden Fox's habitat. Then when Fidette arrived, I would frame him for being treacherous and stealing the royal family's prey. John immediately pictured Agani and a heavy bag of rocks. Then I would issue an unreasonable punishment. He would have to carry this bag of rocks for the entire hunt. I just needed to take it that far. But now. He gritted his teeth tightly, extremely worried. What do I do now? Everything is completely messed up. He was glancing at the rock on the ground. This rock is quite heavy. Someone definitely threw it on purpose. But, Agani looked around with a heart full of suspicion. In the distance. I can't be sure their target was only Talon. Is it an assassin aiming for me? Suddenly, Talon woke up in pain and called out weakly, Duke. He immediately turned to him. Talon, However, Agani still didn't let his guard down and reminded him, Talon, are you fully awake? If you remember anything, speak up immediately. Even John started to feel anxious. Asterisk, the Fidet family has protected the royal family for over a millennium. They are the most powerful faction in the empire. I'm currently just the 7th prince, considered useless trash. If rumors leak that I tried to assassinate Duke Fidet, then, asterisk he, with a dazed face and sweating profusely, recalled, I saw it. He felt increasingly terrified. Asterisk, things are going way too far. Damn it. What do I do? What do I do now? What am I supposed to do? Asterisk, Talon seemed ready to blurt out a certain name. However, the words he uttered were an apology. I'm sorry, Duke. Everything happened so suddenly. Hearing that, John rejoiced and exclaimed, Damn. Thank God. Agani suddenly spotted a dark figure behind the tree. All right, I understand. If you remember anything else. It turned out John took the opportunity to run for his life. Asterisk, this is my chance. I gotta run. I have to run as far away as possible. Asterisk. He also immediately chased after him. You wait here for a moment. I will catch the attacker and bring him back. In a flash, John had run deep into the forest. However, he started showing signs of exhaustion. Asterisk, my stamina is completely drained. Running while carrying this damn heavy bag of rocks is literally asking for death. Asterisk. John ran while looking back. Asterisk, but I've probably run far enough by now, right? Shaking off an old man like that should be a piece of cake. Asterisk, yet Agani was still hot on his heels. Asterisk, this crazy old man. Didn't they say he was retired? Asterisk. He chased after him while shouting loudly. State your name. Are you a rebel faction? Or a cultist? I don't care who you are, but you won't escape the hands of Agani Fidet. John panicked even more as the distance kept closing. Asterisk, crap. He's about to catch up to me. Asterisk, he ran while thinking of a plan. Asterisk, should I just ditch the damn bag and turn into a crow? If only that crazy black horse were here right now. Asterisk, John was already preparing to speed up. I can't just wish for it. His footsteps got faster and faster. I can run really fast. John suddenly accelerated to top speed. Run for real. Agani, trailing behind, also felt astonished. Asterisk, I thought I was about to catch him. Why did he suddenly speed up so much? His shape seems to have changed too. Asterisk. He swung his sword forward in annoyance. Asterisk, are my eyes playing tricks on me? This is so frustrating. Asterisk, a patch of the forest was slashed away, but Agani saw no sign of him anywhere. Did I lose him? On this side, John ran while feeling a bit strange. Asterisk, my body suddenly feels weightless. Did I turn into a crow again? But it clearly feels like I'm still running hard. Asterisk, at this moment, the silhouette of a black horse suddenly appeared. Asterisk, the sound of hooves? Did that damn horse come back? Asterisk, its eyes were reflecting the forest ahead. Or could it be? It turned out that in his moment of crisis, he had turned into a horse. This is insane. Somewhere else, the 2nd prince looked up and couldn't help but marvel. Wow. This. Oh my. Brother. Did you really catch it? Zaisha looked smug with the monster's corpse in front of him. Haha. Is it that hard to believe? He immediately acted congratulatory. Victory in this hunt belongs to you, brother. Have you thought about what wish you'll ask the emperor to grant? He just smiled faintly. A wish? Suddenly, Zaisha's face revealed a sinister look. I have a plan in mind. Right now, John was resting by a large tree, sighing. He held his head in deep worry. I'm done for. Only now did John remember he had dropped the bag full of rocks. I dropped the bag while running away. He couldn't accept it and rolled around complaining. Damn it. I lost the most important thing. There has to be a limit to how much things can go wrong. But this. His face was now full of regret. However, John sighed and quickly pulled himself together. Asterisk, standing here getting a headache won't solve anything. I should backtrack and check. Asterisk. Talon, who was resting, was a bit surprised. Oh, Duke, you're back. Agani immediately checked on his injury. Is your head feeling any better? Talon smiled it off and reassured him. I'm fine, though I'm still a bit dizzy. He immediately brought up the recent chase. More importantly, what was the result? He let out a sigh and admitted, it's shameful. I lost him. I don't know if he was too fast, or if I really am just old. Suddenly, Agani noticed the bag full of rocks. By the way, what is that? Talon answered honestly, this bag? I found it on the way back. It was abandoned in the bushes. He quickly bent down to inspect it. It looks quite luxurious. But why is it full of rocks inside? John was currently hiding behind a tree trunk, eavesdropping on their conversation. Asterisk, how should I know? Probably some bored guy playing a prank. Asterisk, suddenly, he appeared and shouted loudly, startling them. That bag. The two looked at John in bewilderment and exclaimed, "Seventh Prince." Prince. They immediately knelt down and paid their respects. I humbly greet the seventh prince. I humbly greet the seventh prince. Agani was the first to speak. May I ask, is this bag yours, your highness? He bluntly admitted it right away. Yeah, I was wondering where it disappeared to. John suddenly put on a superior attitude and questioned, but why is my property over there with you too? Are you thieves? He was shocked and immediately denied it. Thieves? How could there be such an absurd thing? I merely stumbled upon it while passing by the bushes. He still deliberately acted suspicious. Anyone in that situation would make up an excuse like that, because no one wants to get their hands chopped off. Agani quickly swore, I swear on this worthless life and the honor of my entire family. John pretended to care about Talon. Why is your attendant bleeding like that? He also turned to look at him and explained, about what happened earlier. There was a sudden accident. Only now did Talon dare to look up. In a flash, the image of him throwing the rock at him suddenly appeared. Talon was about to ask for clarification. Seventh Prince. Could it be? But John was quick to step forward and grab his head. His face was full of coldness as he threatened. A lowly servant dares to be so disrespectful as to interrupt a conversation of royalty? What an uneducated fool. John continued to intimidate him, ignoring Talon, trembling in fear. If his mind isn't clear, could you lend me your sword? So I can personally discipline him. His face lost all color as he stammered. Prince. Agani stood nearby and respectfully pleaded for mercy. My attendant has made a grave mistake. If you show mercy, I will personally punish him very strictly. John pretended to agree. Oh, Duke Fidette, your loyalty is truly admirable. He suddenly brought up an old incident. Truly a shining example. A hunting dog of the royal family to the point of not even blinking when his own guard is about to die. John suddenly even mentioned Flynn. Your son will surely become a loyal dog like that in the future too. He picked up the bag and started executing his plan. Since we've met like this, it must be fate. Today, I will entrust this bag to you to keep. John put on a sinister look and handed the bag to Agani. It is an extremely important item. Even if you die, you must not let it leave your side. He even threw in a sarcastic remark. Do you understand? He looked full of resentment, but had to accept it. I respectfully obey. The noble command of the prince. Having finished his plan, John breathed a sigh of relief and walked away. I'll be heading back first. Have a fun hunt. Asterisk few. Whatever. My body feels so much lighter. Asterisk even so, he still looked back a bit worriedly. Asterisk even I feel like that acting just now was pure trash. Even though I feel a bit sorry for Talon, at least I had to plant this seed first. Asterisk Talon finally spoke up to apologize. I'm sorry, Duke. It's my fault that. Agani just replied coldly. You should feel extremely lucky that your limbs are still intact. Let's head back and rest. That's enough for today. He still intended to tell him about the attack. Duke, I just remembered something. About the person who threw the rock at me. Talon exposed John, making his face darken. It was the seventh prince. He was still going to add more. At first I didn't recognize him, but when I saw him with my own eyes, Agani, now full of resentment, cut him off. Stop. You don't need to say anything else. He was currently recalling the plot. Asterisk in the novel, Fidette commits that incident during next year's hunt. But that's because the death of his son that year changed his temperament. Asterisk. Asterisk, so he's calculating to change the plot. Therefore, to make that incident happen right in this hunt, I need to create a strong enough stimulus. Asterisk on this side. Zaisha also revealed his own calculations. The wish I will ask the emperor for this time is to rezone the area around the temple. He immediately showed a look of disgust. Those nomads living like maggots in the imperial capital. I will wipe them all out. In John's eyes, his intention was already clear. Asterisk Duke Fidette. Your future is already set. Asterisk on the other hand. Agani also turned his face toward the sun. Asterisk, there lies the image of him in the future. You will rebel against the royal family. Because that is your destiny. Asterisk right now, someone had just landed in the forest at dusk. That person kept tiptoeing through the bushes. It turned out to be John, keeping an eye on his surroundings. Asterisk I circled in the sky and checked dozens of times before landing. There are definitely no witnesses, right? Asterisk. He suddenly felt a bit of regret for his actions back then. Asterisk, I didn't expect to pull these cruel tricks on Fedette and Talon. I suddenly feel exactly like those cheap villains. Oh wait, I am a villain. Asterisk while John was lost in thought, a figure suddenly appeared. Next, right when the hunt ends. That person smiled, pretending to be surprised. Oh my, it's you, John. It's rare to see you taking a leisurely stroll alone in the forest like this. This was Grand Princess Minto Abiza. John also looked over warily. Asterisk the Grand Princess? I didn't expect to run into her in the middle of nowhere like this. Asterisk he also quickly paid his respects. I humbly greet your highness, the Grand Princess. She also pretended to be close. Drop those stiff formalities. After all, we are siblings of royal blood. Minto feigned concern. By the way, where did you leave the horse you rode in on, walking back all alone like this? Ah, about that. John also made up an excuse to brush it off. I just wanted to take a walk and get some fresh air, so I left the horse back at the camp. Suddenly, Mindel's voice turned cold. I just don't understand. She glared at him coldly and demanded, why would you lie to your own flesh and blood? He continued to play dumb. What do you mean, sister? Mindel immediately recounted. While taking a walk through the western forest around noon, I saw a masterless black horse. Its coat looked unusual, so I asked the servants. They told me it was yours. Her attitude grew even more indifferent and cold-blooded as she recalled it. I personally ordered that black horse to be killed. Any beast that dares to disobey the royal family deserves nothing but death. Hearing this, Jin immediately knelt down to apologize. I'm sorry, royal sister. I was just ashamed of letting my horse escape, so I misspoke. Mindel put on a forgiving facade. Oh, come now. Raise your head. If you act like that, people will think I'm bullying my own little brother. With that, she turned to leave. It's good enough that you made it back safely on your own. If you ever need another horse, just come find me anytime. He kept his eyes fixed on Mindel, studying her. This first princess, Mindel Abigan. She really is a tough one to deal with. No one can ever guess what she's plotting. Her terrifying face flashed through Jin's mind. But why did she let it go so easily? Could it be that her power doesn't work on me? Meanwhile, a voice rang out from a nearby tent. No, so. A physician was questioning the person sitting opposite him. You were chasing after the prey, then tripped, fell over a rock, and smashed your head into another rock. He looked at Talon and let out a helpless sigh. I've seen all sorts of injuries at these royal hunts, but this is the first time I've seen someone pathetic enough to get a concussion just from tripping over some rocks. Agony also asked about his current condition. How long will he need to rest before he recovers? The physician gave his recommendation. It looks minor on the outside, but the internal trauma is quite severe. He needs to stay completely bedridden for at least a week. Hearing this, Talon immediately protested. A whole week? Are you telling me I have to stay in bed for the entire hunt? As a guard, I have to stay by the Duke's side. Agony suddenly placed a reassuring hand on Talon's shoulder. I acknowledge your loyalty. Agony advised him earnestly, but your life comes first. Just lie still and sleep until the closing ceremony. The other guards and I will handle the rest of the hunt. Talon was still a bit reluctant. But Duke. Then, he suddenly broke into a bright smile and obeyed. If that is truly your wish, then I promise to rest and recover with all my might. Agony could only sigh and lament, coming as a hunting guard only to take a vacation. You're truly one of a kind in the history of the Empire. Talon couldn't hide his joy. You've never given me a single day off before, right? My lifelong dream is just to eat and play. Too bad I'm broke. Agony chuckled. Then I'll have to win this hunt to make your dream come true. When I do, I'll ask for a gold mine as a reward for you. Time quickly passed, and late night arrived. While he was fast asleep, someone approached Talon. The person gently placed a letter next to him. Jin's sinister face and his words from that morning suddenly echoed in Agony's mind. Truly a shining example. A royal hound who doesn't even blink when his own guard's life is in danger. At this moment, Agony was holding his head, agonizing over what Jin had said that morning. Your son will surely become a loyal dog just like you. He decided to step outside for a bit. I keep tossing and turning and can't sleep. Maybe I should go out and get some fresh air. Suddenly, Agony noticed something. Next to the tent was the bag full of rocks that Jian had given him. Agony decided to take it with him. He walked and lost himself in thought. Today, I'll take you to the temple. There's something I really want to show you. Agony began to reminisce about the past. Long ago, when the world fell into chaos and misery, a savior descended from the heavens. The person he was talking to was fallen. I read about it in a book. Father, you're talking about Emperor Caesar, right? Agony stood before the giant statue and continued the story. He was the incarnation of the divine, wielding mystical powers, and the one who quelled those who endlessly sowed the seeds of war. He spoke endlessly about the founder of the current empire. And so, over 1,000 years ago, he established a unified empire named Abigan. He is the founding ancestor of the royal family we serve. Agony was still thinking of his son. Fullen, my son, my priceless treasure. He looked toward the dawn, recalling the words he had told his son. Inherit my legacy and become the proud sword of the royal family. Only now did Agony pay attention to the bag of rocks on his back. It's so heavy. Why am I lugging these rocks around? He was still lost in his deep thoughts. Is it out of loyalty? Or, suddenly, Agony heard a noise from afar. That horn. Could it be? At the same time, people were gathering around something. Good heavens. All of this in just one night. I heard the beasts howling nonstop all night long. They were gossiping about the corpse of a giant monster. Looks like the first prince wiped them all out. So the hunt is already over? The people were endlessly amazed by Zaisha's achievement. Originally, the royal hunt was supposed to last for 4 days. But the first prince of the Abigan Empire achieved an unprecedented, overwhelming hunting record in just a single night. Soon after came the official declaration of his victory. Therefore, I declare him the winner of this competition. The emperor also came to congratulate Zaisha. Congratulations on your victory, my son. He immediately bowed in gratitude. Thank you, your imperial majesty. The emperor immediately asked what reward Zaisha wanted. According to tradition, first prince, state the wish you desire to be granted. The crowd murmured in curiosity. I wonder what he's going to ask for. Didn't the fourth prince ask for the right to purge the nomads at the border last year? He began to express his wish. Lately, refugees have been gathering around the temple of Emperor Caesar, damaging the majesty and security of the holy sanctuary. Zaisha spoke with a smile. To restore the temple to its original beauty. Agony felt increasingly uneasy. He was utterly shocked by his wish. I ask your majesty to grant me the authority to purge them. A faint voice began to echo in Agony's mind. F.A. Father. In those eyes, his own reflection was clearly visible. Agony suddenly drew his sword from its sheath. A loyal hound of the royal family. But that child. His drawing of the sword caused the terrified crowd to back away. Agony's face showed absolute resolve. I'm sorry, Fullen, my son. At the same time, a vague voice called out. Hey, hey. Jian's face suddenly appeared right in front of him. Hey, you. Talon panicked and tumbled out of bed. Who's there? I greet His Highness, the seventh prince. Jian showed a hint of concern. Move slowly. The blood is rushing to your head, so you'll get dizzy. Jian kindly added. Later, remember to find the physician and ask for some anti-inflammatory medicine. Ah, no, I mean olive oil to drink. Talon hurriedly obeyed. Why, yes, sir. But why are you here? He just sighed and replied. Well, as for the reason, never mind that. Do you even know what kind of situation the Duke is in right now? The closing ceremony has probably already started. Talon still didn't understand what was going on. The closing ceremony? What do you mean, Your Highness? Inwardly, Jian cheered him on to run faster. That's right. You need to run over there right now. Talon quickly pushed his way to the front. Excuse me. Sorry, coming through. However, the sight before him left him stunned. Excuse me. It was the sight of Agony kneeling before Zaisha. Duke. He was now trembling with anger. Duke Fidget. What the hell is going on here? Agony remained still and declared. The Fidget family has served Emperor Caesar since the very beginning, and has protected the royal family from the closest distance for over 1,000 years. Agony's face was dead serious as he spoke. considering that the Fitted family is more suited for the lowly task of dealing with the refugees around the temple. He boldly stated his wish right in front of the emperor. Therefore, I, Agony Fitted, humbly beg your imperial majesty to grant me this privilege. Surprisingly, the emperor immediately agreed. Out of respect for the loyalty you have dedicated your entire life to, I shall grant your request. However, the emperor's voice suddenly turned cold. But it is truly laughable that your so-called immense loyalty is being used to obstruct the will of the royal family. Following that, Zaisha immediately struck Agony. Did you think the first prince would show mercy? He let out a contemptuous laugh. You've lost your mind, Duke. Have you forgotten that your current actions are enough to get you beheaded on the spot? Agony was ready to accept his death sentence. For the crime of ruining His Majesty's sacred ceremony, I will pay with my life. From the outside, Talon screamed at the top of his lungs, Duke. Jin was also watching the good show from the outside. The play has finally begun. If only that guy were watching this from afar too, it would be perfect. At the same time, in another place, someone was fetching water from the river. But then, something unexpected happened. He looked down, not understanding what was going on. What is this? The water is being drawn up into the air. Can you see it clearly? The execution ceremony of Agony Fitted. Can you feel the magic power of the royal family you're about to face? The person fetching water just looked up with a cold, sharp gaze. The true protagonist of the novel Dark-Hearted, Zito.